Welcome to CMO's Offscript. We're experts in healthcare marketing, and each week we will tackle one topic with unfiltered advice you won't hear anywhere else. Let's jump in. Welcome to CMO's Offscript. It's season 5. How exciting is that?
Love it.
Unbelievable.
I know. Perfect. June 2026. Holy cow. So we're jumping in today, and I'm super excited to have you both here, for all of us to be here, Amanda and Nisha. And we started our conversation before we ever hit record because we're so active on this topic. But we're talking about AI and marketing teams and AI in our world today. And so we're going to jump in with this. I started the conversation saying that there's a conundrum happening where I am seeing teams overwhelmed because they're trying to do everything themselves because they have all these AI tools now instead of using their resources, their other team members who are experts in content and editing, in ads, in graphic design. They're trying to do it all themselves, and that's overloading them. And so AI has kind of created this weird dynamic where you feel like you can do it yourself better than trying to work with your team. And ultimately, that creates its own overload, and it's too much. That's my opener. What do you guys think?
Couldn't agree with you more. I just read a post on LinkedIn just a couple of days ago that was like, the person that is going to be the most overloaded going forward is not the person that is creating content using AI. It is the person that has to review it.
Yes.
Ta-da. And I thought about that and I was like,
Yes.
pause, keep reading. Why? Well, because those people are expected to sift through the fact, the fiction, and everything in between. And it's prolific. Our friends Claude and Perplexity and Chat, they're all great, but they are also so damn much. I could write an email and it's like 6 lines, and Claude will give it to me in 12. So now the expectation is, how do I sift through everything? Find the fact, find the fiction, find the hallucinations. And that onus is being put on, right? That onus is being put on, here's what I've created. And now you think you've got something great. And it sure seems great. It initially looks great. You're like, this is awesome. Thanks for you've looked through my brand guidelines, my voice and tone guidelines, check. But there's just more of it. And the issue there is multifaceted. And I know Nisha's dying to jump in. She's got that ambitious sweatshirt on I'm obsessed with.
I know, me too.
So it's great. The other thing that I will just say is I've experienced this firsthand, and I know all of you have, of just like, that's a 12-page document that you're handing to someone. Do we really think that anyone's going to read that? Who has time to read that? Thank you. Lovely. No one has time.
I just dropped a 12-page document to these guys this morning to read. Did that.
Oh, the irony. The irony.
Slayed.
Yes.
So I'll take a step back and say that, one of the things, it's actually so interesting, so timely, because today in the morning, I was listening to NPR, and they were actually talking about how teachers right now are really stuck in this space of, do we encourage AI use, or is it really preventing these students from thinking critically? And
Option number 2, friends. Option number 2.
That last part is the part that I think that in a workplace we struggle with the most. We are using AI to do our thinking for us. And we have to stop because it is not there yet. And this is the reason that we have so much content and so much slop and so much just garbage that we have to sift through, because it's not like we're coming up with a point of view and saying, hey, here is my differentiated point of view. This is the ground I want to stick on. I need your help in helping to organize my thoughts. Help me be a thought partner here. Like, take it to the next level versus, no, I need you to do all of it for me.
Come up with my strategy.
Yes. Yes. And that is where I think using it to its strengths right now is the part that we're really struggling with, because we're like, oh, look, it came up to Amanda's point. It is very confident when it delivers its results, right? It's like, here is your 15-page thing, and here are 6 emails to help promote it. And yet it's like missing the audience. There's no differentiated message. It's drifted from the positioning that you've offered it. And so then you have to go back and you have to rework it. And sometimes I have to stop myself from this, where sometimes if I get in this back and forth on a chat, I really have to take a pause and say, I probably could have done this on my own had I just...
in less time.
Had I just, taken the time to just go off, open up a Word document and just start typing, versus here I'm fighting with this chatbot about like, oh no, that's not what I wanted. I wanted you to do this instead. And really, I think encouraging our teams to think critically first.
Yes.
Go back to actually thinking critically and then use AI to help extend that, I think is what we have to encourage as leaders.
I know. I love that. I have been having conversations with my children all the time lately, because all they do is they're like, why don't you just ask? Why don't you just ask your phone the answer? Why don't you just ask your phone? And I'm like, because I'd like you to spend at least like 30 seconds thinking critically about how you might find the answer without me getting to my phone, even just using brain power, logic, like next steps to think through, like, could you come to an answer on your own on this? And I think that's frankly just as relevant for all of us, of how can I get to the answer? And how can I get to the information that I need to be able to be productive?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think in continuing to use our working brains is going to be essential in this next chapter. So I think there's 2 things we're saying here, or 2 threads. And the one thread is this critical thinking, like keeping our critical thinking skills. The other, well, there's 3 threads actually. One thread is critical thinking. Second thread is about the overwhelm and need for quality control. And then for my team, I think the third thread is remembering to continue to use the experts, that there are experts who know things and can provide skills that AI doesn't have. So and I think that there's 3 different ways that I think AI is hitting our workforce. And I think they're all really important. From the critical thinking side, I agree with you. We as adults, we need that back in our lives. You can see it lacking in our culture. We all need to be back to learning to use our critical thinking. And it's an interesting way to frame up how to use AI in a way that keeps your critical thinking skills involved. I think that's that's the conversation I want to see happening, because AI isn't going away, but how we use AI is still up for grabs. So, having that sense of like, instead of handing your brain to AI, engage with AI, engage your brain with AI. Because I do find that it can really be helpful. Like I can get in an engagement with it and can build something faster than I normally would, or come up with angles I didn't think of. But it's like you were saying, Nisha, it has to be that conversation, it has to be that back and forth.
I'll say that, the part about marketing and AI that I find super fascinating, like if we did a little bit of a macro exercise, right, in itself, is that most of us are still at the tactical level of it's like an operational process. Like we need something from it, usually content related. It's spitting out something for us, right? So it's like a give and take kind of process that we're still operating on. I do think that in this realm of, if we step out, we look at macro, there's been a proliferation of tools and things that have come out because of AI. And because that is the case, I think our roles in general have shifted quite a bit, because it's like, okay, now before you used to have a team of ops people managing data. And now perhaps those people are now managing tools that manage the data, right? And so the roles have shifted. And so we've had to kind of think through that in itself. And then I think there's a huge use case where we started to dabble on probably the last 6 months because it's been easier for us to create these like agents who can then help us automate some of the things that we used to do very manually, right? Social media posting, SEO management, simple things like messaging updates, persona updates, right? The mind-numbing things that you used to maybe have a person who would be in charge of, okay, who's auditing all of this content to make sure that it's relevant to this newer message? Who's editing the internal documentation to make sure that it's relevant? All of these things can now be automated with these agents. And in the past 6 months, I'd say that because, Claude and chat and like everybody has made it easier to create this type of automation, dabbling in that world, I think is interesting because I do see, yes, there were these super tactical things that, we used to buy all sorts of tools for, or like we would have people manage. And now thinking about it more holistically, I think that's where I see some of the lower hanging fruit versus this like, here, help me think through this process. Because oftentimes, I can probably think through the process myself and AI is just overcomplicating it for me, right? How many times have we gotten that swirl where it's like, no, you have lost the point, friend Claude. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about anymore. And that is where I'm like, I would rather go down the path of let's automate these lower hanging fruit type items. And let's use each other to think through. I just sent you all a text this week being like, help me think through this.
I love that, by the way. That was awesome. That was a great,
and it was like, oh yeah, you're right. I got to write that down.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like,
knew
great
that.
reminder. That's right. I knew this shit.
I didn't know. I didn't know. That said, like I was able to leverage my pal Claude by feeding it a few docs. And I was like, hey, I need the following talking points for someone based off this thing that we're working on. Pump it out. And I had something while I was on another call that I never would have been able to get done with that kind of rapid turn. And I was like, let me just read through it. Yes, this is great. And it gave me a backgrounder as like the backup to the backup, right? So I was like, okay, I mean, maybe you might want that. Probably you don't need it, but in case you want it, you got it. Here you go, right? So that's a case where I'm like, yes, there is a lot of excess that is created. And thank you for making my life easier by creating some documentation that I really can actually use. But for sure, how do we agentify some of the task work that like is super time consuming?
We've got one, creating contracts and proposals. We just have now a project within Claude that has it all of our language, everything's in there. It's insane how easy and fast it is. But it used to be a person had to do it.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Amazing.
I agree. With Claude Cowork, I built a personal assistant. So
you did? That's so good.
I have this little like chief of staff who, has all of my info. I fed it everything from my strength finders to like just, here is how I want my summary every single morning. And it will search all of my Gemini notes, all of my Slack notifications, all of my Drive, my email. So I let it go wild. And then in the morning at 5 a.m., it'll send me a message and it's like, hey, Nisha, here are the top 3 things that need to get done. And I'm like, beautiful. Thank you. And that way I don't have to attend every single call that I'm invited to because it will take, Gemini, we record our meetings at our company. And so I get those meeting notes and it parses out. It gives me summary. It'll be like, here's what happened in those meetings. And here we go. I'm like, yes, I feel so by the time I'm up and ready, that's the first thing I look at. I feel super organized and I'm able to start my day. But it took time and setup. Like it took me a whole Saturday to sit down, learn it, first of all, like educate myself on co-work.
Yep.
Then go find all the information. Then be like, how do I want to create these markdown files? That's about me. What do I want it to know about me? So they took real thought and process, right? Like I was sitting there, I was like thinking through, okay, what are the things that are valuable to me that I need to know? But makes me incredibly more informed every single morning. And I think these are the use cases where I'm like, yes, we all need a little assistant in the morning.
Yeah,
for sure. But I think one of the things that you highlight there is this idea of it's not replacing effort 100%, right? That you had to put time, thought, and effort in on the upfront to get something quality on the back end versus like full AI slop, right? Which is the world that we are living in today. And I did finally remember my point from earlier, which was that, the inputs matter, right? And I think we all know that. But I think one of the things that I've been reflecting on and wondering about of late is like, has the era of the brief ended, right? If you're going to be creating something, if you need to pull together a document or a file or content, are we still operating in a brief land where you actually pull together the thoughtful brief ahead of time and use that as your gift to Claude versus Claude saying, "Oh, I can come up with the brief," right? Now you've just handed over the thinking part of this exercise to Claude. Claude is happy to do that for you. First, do you need me to create a brief for you? No, I don't. I need to actually do the work and the thinking to figure out what I really need and be crisp about it. Be crisp, be clear, be effective, and then hand it over, right? Your prompt matters. The inputs dictate the outputs. If you don't provide good inputs, you don't get good stuff on the outside, right? So on the output. And I think that's really consistent in what we see, right? In life. What you get put in is what you get out. Put in crap. If crap in equals crap out, right?
I will say though, Amanda, I do love Claude helping create the brief. I still love the brief. I don't think the brief is going away because the brief is also basically a contract about this is what we're doing. We're all agreeing that this is what we're doing. And I love Claude for making it faster to produce the brief. But you're right. The strategy going into the brief shouldn't come from Claude. The strategy is mine. I am just telling Claude, these are my ideas. This is how I want it. This is how I want to structure it. This is what we're doing. And Claude just flushes it, like drops it into a document format and makes it look pretty faster than I would if I did it myself. I also want to speak to Nisha, your point about co-work and your personal assistant. I love that. I think that's really cool. I guarantee that Mr. Hill will be doing that if he hasn't already, once I tell him that's the case. He's going to be thrilled. But I think that's a great example of using Claude to help us, sort of inform us and do more with less, in a sense, less time and resources. So here it's going to help me be more effective in my day. And that's amazing. And I think as a parent, that could be also really helpful because we're at the end of the school year and there are so many dance recitals and so many public speaking nights and tribute nights, and it would be phenomenal if every morning I could wake up and it would tell me, here's the things you have to get done today. Here's who needs her picture today. So I think that's super helpful. I did hear, or I think I saw a video, I think it was like a reel on social media, full disclosure. And it was about like a CEO in Silicon Valley and how he uses whatever AI personal assistant he has. And he's got it dialed down to the point where apparently he was driving home from work in his probably Tesla with, auto driving, and the personal assistant directed his car to go to the drugstore to pick up his medication that was just available. So and he was lauding this. He was like, "This is amazing. I didn't have to do anything. It automatically took me there." No No, sir, that's a problem. That's not good. That's bad. That's when that's a step too far, a bridge too far, a reminder that your medication is ready. 10/10, no notes. That's great. But having your car drive you there without your permission, that seems totally alarming to me. And that's the science fiction version of AI that I'm not excited about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a line. Yeah, I definitely would get incredibly creeped out by that. And I think this is where, so even with, this personal assistant I'm talking about, it took it wasn't like a one and go where I did a couple of iterations of finally letting it have access to my entire calendar, finally letting it have access to my drive. Because it was a little bit of like, okay, let's try this out with just this amount of information, first iteration. Then I provided more info. And so it kind of went in steps before I could feel comfortable even with it going way deep. But I will say that this is also the fault of any sort of note taker. Well, I don't want to say any because I haven't tested all of them out there. So who knows, maybe there's a perfect scenario. But these AI note takers itself, right? They themselves are a little biased on the amount of information that they're feeding you. And so I always am like, it's not going to be 100% exactly what happened. It is making all sorts of assumptions. There's so many times I tell my coworkers, like when I miss meetings and I read the notes and it'll say so-and-so was disgruntled and said da. And then I'll highlight it and send it to them and be like, look, Gemini thought you were very upset when you said this thing.
That's really funny.
Tone matters, friends.
Yeah, and then they'll be like, wait, I didn't feel like I was, being that way. But, AI kind of is reading between the lines. And so it's interesting to me because I do think that it is biased. And so if it at least, again, we have to put on our thinking hats, right? And we read something and we're like, that looks interesting. I'm going to go dig in. And then you do your own fact finding. Mm-hmm. But taking it word for word or being under the impression that whatever has been fed to you is 100% accurate is the line that I would challenge everybody on, right? Do not, just because it has recommended something to you does not mean that is the path to go. It means that is a path.
Mm-hmm. So
no gospel here, right? It is not the gospel, not the gospel.
In summary, continue to use your critical thinking skills. Don't lose that muscle. We all need it. Raise your children with critical thinking skills. If they don't have them, work on that one.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And question everything in AI. Double check your sources. Double check everything. Check every link. They make links up. That stuff, that's dangerous. They make
check every data point.
Every data point.
Make it source everything. I just had to go through that this week. I was like, can you please triple check everything? Everything.
Mm-hmm. My favorite is the link checking. I actually get lots of pleasure from that. There's a little, I don't know what it is. I love clicking on it and being like, what is this? I don't even know.
Could it be? Surprise!
Awesome.
What's behind door number 3?
Uh-huh. And then the third one is DIY with AI. Not always the best answer. Don't do it. Use your tools, use your resources, use the experts. Let us not step away from the human component of the work we do.
Yes. And I would say number 4, think about who is receiving whatever you are creating with AI. And are you overwhelming and inundating them with more than you would have naturally produced?
Oh,
just because AI can doesn't mean it should.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Are you giving the appropriate amount of information? Just because you can make more, don't do it.
Yeah. I think actually, all right, well, now I'm going to add an asterisk. I'm going to double down on what you just said. We all need to just be brief, boil it down, synthesize, concise, less is more. Are there any other anything else we can throw in there? And also, I am where I was starting to use AI more to help me clean up my emails. I'm not. I was letting AI tighten up an email just to make it sound, where I shape it better, and I won't anymore. And I think that we have to get back to being more humans. So the human element is probably going to be the one that wins the day in many places.
It's so, as I'm hearing you both talk, it's so interesting, right? Because what was it, just a year ago, it's like we all were like, wow, this is going to be such a time saver. This is incredible. I can put in all this info and it spits out like a 15 sequence email thing to my ICP and segments it out. And then all of a sudden, holy crud, this is amazing. Within seconds. And then here we are a year later, we're like, oh, this is terrible. They can't even write for crap and we're inundated with stuff. And I think, what is going to happen a year from now?
Mm-hmm. It's going to have to be a blend. I think that AI is not going away. I do think it will probably get better. So that'll be cool.
I think I think what I'm hearing, what we're facing with is basically I think we're all a little burnt out.
No. What?
No.
How does that ever happen? Burnout. What?
I'm feeling like we're AI burnt out. And at this point, we're like, ugh, really say less.
I mean, here's the deal. It is a combo pack of, it is the gift, and it comes with a little bit of the shiv at the same time, right? It is both. It is both. And it is a matter of, just like anything, I mean, you should be looking the gift horse in the mouth, right? This is one of those classic cases of you have to. And so it comes But I do think it brings both the positive and the negative, like most things. And I think
most gift horses.
Yes. So I think we have to be, with everything, a bit measured. It's when you've got the latest and greatest bright, shiny object, and you've got the vendor calling and selling you on it, it sure sounds amazing. Nobody ever tells you how painful the implementation is or how difficult whatever is, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's very easy to see the positive on the upfront, and it's not until you dig in that you uncover the reality, right? I'm constantly talking about peeling back the layers of the onion, and you peel it back, it starts to stink, right? Doesn't mean that an onion is a bad thing, right? But what?
I said, and then you start crying.
Oh yeah, exactly. Okay, I wasn't going there yet, but the onion does start to stink, and you're right. Yeah. So anyway, you do start to cry. For anyone not watching the podcast. Anyway, so here we are. Peel back the onions. It smells. You start to cry. But it still tastes beautiful after you cook it, and it's a lovely thing. So,
use it in everything. Use it in everything.
There you go. Okay.
Every dish has an onion. I'm dead serious. I love onions. They're amazing. So, yeah.
Agree.
That was a good one. I'm not sure who I like more. The horse or the onion. I love them both. I love them both. They're both
the
beautiful.
Queen of your analogies here. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's just good that I'm not doing a sports analogy. I'm a big fail on the sports analogies.
No, they don't go. I would not even understand them.
Same here.
Perfect. We're all in good company on this one. Great.
Well, I think in general, awesome topic and episode. I feel like we'd have so much more to say on this too. This always seems to be a theme that keeps bubbling up to the top. Don't you think, ladies? For the past year, we've just...
Yes. And it will continue to be. It's evolving.
Going to be part of our life.
I think it's a good one to talk about. I think we're all dealing with it. So it's very, I think it's interesting to hear what tools you're using. The fact that you're using the cowork for your personal assistant, very cool. I think it's good to share that perspective.
Yeah, I think one area that internally, I think this is one topic I'd love to maybe in a future episode talk about from we feel the burnout from an internal perspective. I wonder what our buyers are feeling right now.
Yeah.
And that will be kind of interesting to dig into.
That's a great question. That would be really good to get somebody who's on the other side receiving. But, in essence, yeah, I agree. We should. Use my in essence. We can test that
part. Well, thank you both. This is amazing. I appreciate it. Always love talking. Always love. And I always appreciate when I need some sparring partners to think critically with.
Oh, yeah.
I've got you ladies.
Right here.
Same.
Right.
Same. Yeah. Love this. This is great. Thank you so much, guys, and have a wonderful day. And thanks everybody for joining us on this discussion. If you have thoughts or feedback about how you're using AI or concerns you have about AI, we would love to hear them at CMO's Offscript. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for going off script with us. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to follow, rate, and share CMO's Offscript. We'll be back soon with more raw insights and real conversations with the voices shaping modern marketing. Until next time, stay bold.